This information about our service concerns the books, documents, and materials that are entrusted to our care. That information will be followed by 3 observations that you as delegates may find helpful as we envision the future of the Institute. And finally, I want to invite you, or those watching when in Rome, to visit the Lasallian archives, libraries, and museum displays that we have here. You should also be able to find a booklet, and in the case of those watching this video, probably online on our website. And this booklet on the Institute website will tell you more about our service. It provides a much more detailed set of information than is in this short recording. But as a general overview, the Lasallian Research and Resources Service preserves, enriches, and shares the historical patrimony of the Institute through an integrated system of Lasallian archives, libraries, and museums in a way that responds to the requirements of contemporary research. This service is used by brothers, visitors to the Casa Generalizia, graduate students, historians, authors, researchers, and all who are interested in learning about the history of the Institute or some particular aspect of the Lasallian heritage. The archives, the Lasallian archives, have been located here since 1936, when the brothers moved from Belgium to Rome. Our archives is the largest exclusively Lasallian archives in the world, preserving the cultural heritage of the Institute through the retention, classification, and organization of published and unpublished historical documents dating back to the origins of the Institute. At present, there are over 10,000 organized archival boxes filled with materials. They cover 1,000 linear meters of shelving in 2 locations on the property. A good number of archival boxes have been processed, with their contents classified and recorded on a digital database. Properly doing so for all the boxes and documents that we have, plus documents that we regularly receive, will still take some years to complete. 3 brothers, 1 Institute archivist, 1 assistant archivist, and 1 digitization specialist, along with 1 other assistant archivist, make up the primary staff of the archives. Early Institute documents that are preserved here include 61 handwritten letters by de La Salle, and the Book of Vows, containing the first perpetual vow formulas written out by 12 brothers and de La Salle on Trinity Sunday in 1694. I was also fascinated to find a very old pair of glasses in a locked cabinet of the archives. They are said to have belonged to the founder. An optician last week told me that they were used for long-distance viewing, which means that if these belonged to the founder, he had myopia. Starting in 1727, there have been 25 archivists of the Institute before the current one, Brother Hilaire. Each made his own contribution to the preservation of official documents and correspondence. You can read about that history in the booklet, but mention should be made of Brother Vivien, who in 1792, when the Institute was abolished in France, placed important archival documents and items belonging to de La Salle in a trunk. And that trunk never left him, even when he enlisted in the French army. 12 years later, in 1804, he returned with the trunk to the brothers in Lyon, where they had reconstituted. And thereby, he preserved those priceless archival treasures. So in the list of official Institute archivists, he is counted as the very first one. The Lasallian Library in Rome is the largest exclusively Lasallian library in the world. The over 75,000 books that were previously scattered when the old library space in the house was repurposed here have begun to be organized and properly preserved. But the work that is still needed for a complete inventory, according to professional standards, may take decades. Among the collections that have been organized are 2,000 books on Jansenism that came from Port Royal. This may be the largest collection of original texts on Jansenism outside of France. At the present time, we are organizing another large collection, the many Lasallian textbooks that were published from the 1700s to the present. And the library includes a collection of 5,000 ancient books, with the oldest one dating from 1527. Grants from the Italian Episcopal Conference have allowed us to repair and restore many of them. These book collections are in several locations on the property, each subject to different layers of security. Anna Gascone oversees the libraries and is in charge of the museum and other exhibitions. The Lasallian Museum is a permanent exhibition space that is near the central entrance of the Casa Generalizia. In 1981, what was then called the Founders Room was renovated with the installation of a large world map that had small lights for each of the Lasallian institutions around the world. The museum was again renovated in 2007 and most recently in 2019. It contains articles that belong to the founder, original portraits of de La Salle, and the chair from Grenoble that de La Salle used for many years. This chair was brought out during early general chapters so that the newly elected superior general could occupy that chair right after his election. There are also several significant projects that have either been accomplished by this service or are in process at the present time. In October of 2019, we sponsored the very first international gathering of Lasallian archivists here in Rome. It resulted in the creation of SCILA, the International Society of Lasallian Archivists. More than 30 archivists from over 20 districts participated. We shared our experiences and formulated plans for future collaboration. 2 years later, in 2021, SCILA held a second series of virtual meetings that included 65 people from all over the world. Some subgroups from these meetings continue to meet regularly online to this day. The next SCILA gathering will be in 2023. We hope that it will again be an in-person meeting. In the area of research, our service was also directly involved in 2 major international surveys of Lasallian institutions. In early 2020, at the request of the Secretariat for Association and Mission, we conducted an international online COVID study that looked at the pedagogical, institutional, financial, and general school management of our schools during the pandemic. 4 groups of scholars at LaSalle universities in the Philippines, Brazil, and Mexico analyzed the results and wrote short reports. These were published and are available via PDF on the Institute website. In collaboration with the same Secretariat, we also conducted an international online Lasallian survey about current Lasallian formation processes and resources. This was done as part of an ongoing international Lasallian think tank that is focused on developing ways to deepen an appreciation of Lasallian spirituality. This think tank is currently active and will complete its work in July of this year. But anyone who would like to see this particular survey and its results can request it from us. Finally, there is a long-standing project of the General Council, the establishment of an international Lasallian digital repository. It will make the documents, assets, and resources of the Institute and from Lasallian archives, libraries, and museums, available through a single online portal. And so a third online survey was done of current worldwide Lasallian archives, libraries, and museums. And we are now considering a variety of platforms for this online portal. We are moving towards a pilot version of the Lasallian Digital Repository. It will include the participation of 5 institutions who have agreed to be part of it: the Rome Archives, the Lyon Archives, the New York Archives, La Salle Universidad in Barcelona, and Universidad La Salle in Mexico City. This project is currently moving into its second phase of development. Now for the observations. With that larger context in mind, here are 3 observations that may help address challenges for the future. First observation. There is an expression that every time a person dies, a library burns. This certainly also applies to the brothers. If you are not already doing so, please support the preservation of their history and their memories through oral histories. These are interviews with older brothers that are recorded, transcribed, returned for corrections or additions, and then stored in the archives. These historical perspectives will be greatly valued by future historians, researchers, and others. Providing an oral history is a gift to the future, requiring minimum effort, yet leading to rich and valuable results. Second observation. Within the next 6 months, we will be hiring a full-time professional archivist for the Institute Archives. This will positively enhance our current efforts and ensure its future development. Some districts, however, have neither the resources nor the personnel to begin or maintain an organized archives area. Personnel from our service have traveled to archives in other countries that asked for our assistance in setting up or further developing a district archives. SILA, the International Society of Lasallian Archivists, may eventually provide some assistance to those districts that require help. But what is still missing is a well-planned international effort that ensures the availability of both online support resources and the needed personnel so that all districts can establish, maintain, and develop their archives appropriately. Third observation. Fewer brothers today are involved in serious Lasallian research projects than in the past. It is important to establish programs and incentives for the development of new Lasallian researchers among professors in our Lasallian universities and other universities. There needs to be a concerted effort to reach younger contemporary scholars and provide them with the means to advance their own research interests and to concentrate their scholarly efforts around the resources that are available in our archives, libraries, and museums. In this way, a new generation of Lasallian scholars may carry Lasallian studies into the future. Perhaps consideration should be given to establishing an institute for Lasallian research, here or elsewhere, so that focused, ongoing, and professional Lasallian research becomes an ongoing reality. Now for the invitation. When you come to the Casa Generalizia here in Rome, or if you happen to be visiting it right now, we invite you to take time to visit our archives and our libraries. Please feel free to drop by the archives at the end of the hall on the first floor, or come to the basement area, where the Lasallian Library is located, along with some of our offices. In different parts of this building, you will find that there are special exhibitions. These include the Founders Museum in the main entrance area, with many items that are directly from or related to St. John Baptist de La Salle. an exhibit across from the museum entrance featuring 20 of the 22 editions of the Conduct of the Christian Schools, along with a large interactive display. Copies of the Institute's letters patent and the Bull of Approbation, whose tercentennial celebrations will occur in a few years. Many of the wooden cabinets around the house are filled with very interesting Lasallian materials. And in the basement, we set up a new photographic exhibition about past general chapters. Also located here is the story of one brother's critical discovery that enabled the art of photography. Anyone on our staff will be happy to give you a short tour or answer any questions that you might have. Thank you for your attention and for what you do for your districts and for the Institute. I am firmly convinced that within the Lasallian world, what we do together will shape the future that Providence invites us to embrace.